Hello everybody, Play-Doh here, and today we are going to be going over the major changes included in this latest patch for patch 1.03 that just released earlier. So there's been additional elements added to the game, bug fixes, balance changes, a really nice buff for mages, and some nerfs, so let's get right into it. So for the additional elements that they added to this game, they now added a function to record an icon and the name of an NPC on the map when you encounter that NPC. This is really nice. I went ahead and looked at how this would interact, and basically you're going to have a small icon on the map and the name of the NPC on that corresponding location. Please note that if the NPC moves for a quest line, etc., they're not going to be on that specific part of the map anymore, so you're going to have to refine that NPC. But at least this will let you know that the NPC has moved, so you can go on your search. Secondly, they added a new NPC, Jar Baron, so that'll be nice. Maybe some new quests related to that as well. Next, they added new quest phases for the following NPCs. So for Dialos, Nefeli, Kenneth, and Gostok, we have a few additional quests and some additional content that we can go ahead and get through, which is really, really nice. They also went ahead and added some summonable NPCs in multiple situations. Not sure what this really means, but maybe more NPCs we can summon for additional boss fights maybe. They also increased the number of patterns of objects players can imitate when using Mimic Veil, so now you can be more than a box. They also added night background music for some open field areas. Love the music in the game, so a welcome change for sure. Alright, moving to the bug fixes, let's go ahead and see what they fixed. First, they went ahead and fixed a bug that prevented some NPCs from taking damage in some boss battles. I never really noticed this because I was pretty much running for my life trying not to die in a boss battle, but glad this bug has been fixed. They also fixed another bug that sometimes prevented the player from obtaining item after boss battles. This is really nice change. I don't think I ever ran into this issue, but a really welcome fix for those that did. They also fixed a bug that caused dialogues to be skipped when talking to NPCs and using custom key configurations. Never really ran into this issue as I haven't touched my key layout for my controller. They also fixed a bug that causes the players to freeze when riding. This one I actually encountered a few times, and I'm really glad this got fixed. What would happen is your horse would go invisible, you'd start floating in the air for like 10 to 15 seconds, and then you just automatically die. I actually died in a position where I couldn't redeem my souls, so glad they fixed that. The next one we have is that they fixed a bug that causes arcane to scale incorrectly for some weapons. This is actually a really huge bug fix for arcane builds, and I can't wait to see what arcane builds will actually be even more viable now that this has been fixed. The next one we have here is that they fixed a situation where players could not obtain more than 2 talisman pouches, added talisman pouch to Twin Maiden Husk shop lineup. This one's actually really, really nice because I have a few friends that weren't able to get this in their first playthrough because they didn't go ahead and talk to the Twin Maiden after, I believe, the Godric fight to get that 3rd talisman pouch. So now it's just going to be in their shop and you don't have to go through New Game Plus. So very, very nice here. Next, we have fixing a bug that prevented the user from warping to Sites of Grace from maps at the end of the game. I haven't finished the game yet, so glad that they fixed it for when I can. Next, they fixed a bug that prevented the player from moving to the next area after the battle with the Fire Giant. Please don't meme me, I still haven't finished the Fire Giant fight either because I'm still milking the content. Next, we have a bug fix which caused some weapons to have incorrect scaling after strengthening. This one's actually pretty nice. I believe a few weapons, if you upgraded them to plus 25, would actually do less damage, so nice that this has been fixed. Fixed a bug which causes some weapons to not use stat scaling. Great. Fixed hang up in certain situations. I hope that this fixes some PC included stutter/hang ups I have noticed, but we'll see the more we play. Fixed a bug which incorrectly displays multiplayer area boundary when playing online. Nice. Fixed a bug that allows players to activate Erdtree's Great Shield weapon skill without absorbing an attack using special combination of item incantations. This one's actually really funny. You should check out some YouTube videos on this. Glad this got fixed as well. The next one we have is that we have a bug fix which caused Fire's Deadly Sin incantation to have different effects. Thank God. Next, we fixed a bug with Ash of War, Determination, and Royal Knight's Resolve, where the damage buff will also apply to other weapons without that skill. A quick moment of silence for us mages, please. Next, they went ahead and adjusted the visual effect of Unseen Form spell. I don't know what the spell is, so I've never had any experience with it, but glad it got fixed. Deleted the Ragged Armor set from the game, which was mistakenly obtainable in the previous patch. Cool. Fixed a bug that causes some hostile NPCs to drop for calling Finger Remedy. Nice. Fixed a bug that causes incorrect sound effects to play in some situations. Don't think I ever ran into this one, or that I noticed. Fixed a bug which causes visual animations and hitboxes to not be displayed correctly on some maps. Nice. Fixed a bug which causes incorrect visual and behavior for some enemies. Maybe this fixes some hitbox issues. Maybe not. I'll have to see in New Game Plus, I suppose, for those bosses that I did notice it on. Moving forward, they went ahead and fixed a bug that causes incorrect stat parameter for some armor. Maybe this is addressing the Maiden's Dress. I forgot what it is, but it's the dress that's supposed to heal your allies, I believe. But if you use it in combination with the Moonlight Greatsword's like Frost passive, it just started doing damage to NPCs and your teammates, and then made some NPCs hostile, and maybe that's what it is. But a nice fix. Next, we have text fixes, maybe fixing subtitles or just text in general in the game that needed fixing. And then we have the ever so vague other performance improvements and bug fixes. And this one really grinds my gears because every developer that does this just grinds my gears because I personally want to know what these performance improvements and bug fixes are. Sure, they may not have been important to note them because the list might have been long, but still, having the visibility is really nice. So let's go ahead and move on to balance changes. This is where we're going to see some nerfs and some buffs. First, they went ahead and increased the drop rate of smithing stones for some enemies. Nice. They also added smithing stone to some early game shop lineups, which is nice. They also went ahead and increased shield's effectiveness, which I think is a buff because if we go down here, I'm just going to skip to it. They also increased the FP consumption and lowered the duration of the Ash of War barricade shield. So maybe it's a buff because of a nerf to this, maybe, who knows? But a buff to a shield is pretty nice. Then they went ahead and increased the damage for all offensive cracked pot items. I never use these myself, but nice. Next, we have an increase in the damage for the following items: Spark, Aromatic, and Poison Spray Mist. I never use these, but hey, a buff is a buff. Then we have increased the effect of duration for the following items: Uplifting Aromatic and Iron Jar Aromatic, which again I never used, but hey, again, a buff is a buff. Next, we have increased healing for Torrent when using the following items: Roll Raisin, Sweet Raisin, and Frozen Raisin. The only way I knew to actually heat Torrent was when he got yeeted, just used one of my health potions, but now I'm aware of this mechanic. Alright, these next 4 sections of the balance changes that we're going to address is going to be buff for mages, so let's get started. The first is that they reduced FP consumption and increased the damage of the following sorceries: Glintstone Comet Shard, Comet, and Night Comet. While I can't comment on what the damage increase numbers actually is, and I wish FromSoft actually provided some information regarding what these percentages are, but I'm sure a lot of people from the community will get together and figure these numbers out. But as far as the FP consumption goes, Glintstone Comet Shard went from 29 to 19, Comet went from 38 to 26, and Night Comet went from 32 to 24. Moving forward, they also did the same here for the following sorceries, but only for a damage increase, and that's Gravity Well, Collapsing Stars, and Crystal Barrage. Gravity Well was really underwhelming, and it still felt pretty underwhelming. I haven't unlocked Collapsing Stars, so I can't comment on the damage increase there, and you would have to pay me to use Crystal Barrage, even if it got buffed significantly. Unless it's one-shotting enemies, I ain't touching it. Moving forward, they've also decreased the FP consumption cost of the following sorceries: Star Shower, which went from 36 to now 23, Rock Blaster, which went from 30 to 25, Gavel of Hamia. Unfortunately, I don't know the updated number for this one because I haven't unlocked the spell yet. That's my bad. Previously, it was 37, so now it's going to be less than 37. Founding Rain of Stars, it went from 46 to 32. Stars of Ruin, this one I'm just going to be using on my build from now on, and I'll have that updated build guide for you guys tomorrow as well. It's going to be quick, short, and simple. Stars of Ruin went from 50 to 38, which is damn nice. Great Blade Phalanx, which goes from 43 to 35. Magic Downpour, which again, I apologize, I don't have the updated number, but it was at 25, just expect it to be a little bit less. Loretta's Great Bow went from 32 to 28. Loretta's Mastery went from 50 to 43, again, a very small decrease there. And then Carrion Great Sword went from 16 to 14, very small increment. Carrion Piercer used to do 23 for FP cost. I don't know what it is because I also don't have that skill unlocked. That's my bad there. And Shard Spiral went from 16 to 14, so a minor decrease there. Moving forward, our final buff for sorcery is that they raised the projectile speed and range of Great Glintstone Shard, which was very underwhelming, and I just stopped using it immediately when I unlocked it because the range was abysmal. I did test this out, and it's very much improved. So I really like all of these buffs for sorceries because the starting sorceries like Glintstone Pebble, Glintstone Arc really ends up being one of the best sorceries, even for the mid game and late game. So decreasing the FP cost of these sorceries and increasing the damage of some of them is really going to bring more variety into the spells. So really good job there, and now I want to see the same thing happen for incantations as well. Moving forward, they went ahead and decreased the Ash of War Hoarfrost Stomp's damage and increased the cast time. So I did some quick testing using Clayman's Harpoon at plus 25. Pre-patch, it was hitting the little guys at the Mogwin's Palace Road area for about 1.5k, and then post-nerf, it was doing about 784 damage. So looks like to be a 50% nerf in the damage, and the cast time was increased by maybe like a second in between casts, but I'm going to say it isn't going to make this an Ash of War that people are just going to stop using. It's just more in line, and it's still going to be a really good Ash of War. The biggest downside for this nerf is going to be the any percent speedruns, so hopefully for the speedrunners out there, they can figure out some different strats to go just as fast or faster. Moving forward, they went ahead and increased the Ash of War Bloody Slash's self-inflict damage while slightly lowering the damage and increasing the cast time. I can't speak much for this Ash of War because I never used it myself, so if anybody knows in the comments down below how this affects it now, please let me know. They also went ahead and decreased the weapon skill Sword of the Night and Flames damage. Now, I actually never used Sword of the Night and its Flames damage, so I can't speak on this as well. Next, we're going to focus on the increased FP consumption and lower duration of the Ash of War Barricade Shield. From the videos I've seen on this, you pretty much would pop this Ash of War and then the following attacks from bosses wouldn't do any damage to you. Next, we have a changed FP consumption timing of Ash of War Prelate's Charge. Never used this myself, so don't even know, but they changed the FP consumption, whatever that means. Then they went ahead and decreased the damage of Spirit summoned when using the item Mimic Tear Ash and changed the Spirit's behavior pattern. Now, I know a lot of people are going to freak out about this, but all they did was really just decrease the damage of the Mimic. It's not going to make it not a top 3, summon anymore. It still is. It's still going to be S tier because the main advantage of the Mimic summon was that it got the enemy's aggro. It was extremely tanky, and you could pretty much choose its loadout. So all of that is still going to be there. A slight damage decrease isn't going to be that big of a deal. And lastly, we have other enemy and weapon balance changes. I'm glad I know what that means. Hopefully this was helpful for everybody following along. I'll also have the link to this direct website in the description down below. And until the next one, see you later.